Here's one for you. So I leave New York. I go through and I go around. I figured out a way around it on the toll roads, which apparently I didn't have tolls turned on my GPS when I went through the Manhattan the first time. Still super dense. Saw a lot of stuff. Saw a cemetery and stuff feeding on the grief. Saw a bunch of trees asking for help and the beings sending messages like, hey, we need help, please help us. And they were like showing me them choking from the pollution and the energy. And all I could do was send, light. We can't do much as one person other than do that. And then I continued on my journey. I was headed to a Planet Fitness outside of Philadelphia to take a shower. And one of the things, I kept feeling like, I don't know if I'm going to end up at that Planet Fitness, but I got there and I was like, oh yeah, I need to get a towel. I have towels in the car, but because I've been on the road for, I don't know, 4 days since I've actually stayed outside, I'd have to go to like a laundromat and dry them because they're not drying, they're thicker towels. So I was like, okay, I'll go to Target. There's a Target here. And I drove over to the Target, but the whole time I kept feeling I'm gonna end up at a Five Below. I've never been to a Five Below. I didn't even really know what they were. I have a friend who talks about going to them sometimes. And I kept feeling like I'm gonna end up in a Five Below, and I pull into the Target parking lot and boom, there's a Five Below right there, right beside it. And so I'm like, okay. So I go over to Five Below, and as I'm walking in, there's a woman walking, and I can tell she's irritated because it's one of those things where she's walking along the sidewalk and I'm walking into the store. And so I got there right at the moment kind of that she was getting there. And then I opened the door and she was kind of like surprised, but it was like a half. She thanked me, but it was one of those like, oh, thank you, half thankful things. And she goes in. I follow behind her. I see some beach towels up at the front. This is like a dollar store. Five Below is everything's supposed to be $5 or less, which wasn't actually the case, which is interesting. But for the most part, everything's $5 or less. And so I walk around the store looking for towels, and there's a guy there who is almost like a security, like acting, feels like security. He's looking at it. He's looking at everybody. He's walking around. Doesn't look like he's shopping. And I'm just like, okay, this is weird. There's something weird going on here. I don't understand this. I'm feeling weird. And I'm like, I'm just gonna go up. I didn't find towels. I go up to the front where the beach towels were. I grab 2 beach towels and I go, you know what, that's perfect. My guides told me to get 2. I was only gonna get 1. And they're like, no, go get 2 because you kind of, when you do the beaches, you can like use one, let it dry, then you have a dry one and all that sort of thing. I'm like, okay. And beach towels dry fast. My towel, like shower towel, is like thick, but beach towels dry fast. And so I get them and I walk up to the counter, and there's like 6 or 7 registers. There's nobody standing there. There's no lights. How the registers have lights that like are like, this register is on or active. There's no like lane closures. Everything is, there's credit card machines, terminals. And I look up and it says self-checkout. Every single register has a sign that says self-checkout. And it's split. Like, if I remember right, the checkout part was black with white letters and the self part was red with white letters, or it might have been reversed. But it was like very clear there was self-checkout, all of them. And I'm like, what the heck? Why would you have a busy dollar store or a busy store like this? It's not busy now, but a store that would be busy. There's no employees from the looks of it. There's a guy walking around who feels security-like, but he's not wearing a uniform or anything. And I'm going, what is going on here? And I'm just confused. And I even think I said it. I was just like, what the fuck? And like, okay, so I self-checkout, right? Now, be clear. Every single register said self checkout. And I walk up, and I like read them like 3-4 times. I'm looking for terminals. I walk up, I'm like, okay, where's the scanner at? And I'm standing there, I'm like, there's a credit card terminal, where's the scanner at? Do I just reach over? There was a hand scanner on the other side. Do I just reach over and grab the scanner? I'm like, what's going on? And I look up again, and it still says self checkout. And it continues, they all say that. I'm like, I'm so confused, and I'm sitting there for like 2-3 minutes. Like, I can't cash my stuff out. What's going on? And then I finally think to myself, well, maybe I'll just walk out. Maybe I'll just say fudge it and walk out, you know. And like if the alarm goes off, just kind of be like, no, I didn't know, type of thing. I'm like, okay. So I'm standing there, I'm like, well, what do I do, guys? And then I hear the woman behind me off in the distance talking to somebody, and another guy appears. I didn't see him before. I didn't see him the whole time I walked around the store. He just appears out of freaking nowhere. Different guy, not the security guard energy. So he appears, he's listening to something, walks down the aisles, doesn't even say anything, doesn't acknowledge me, doesn't say come to this register, nothing, like completely ignores me, walks down the checkout lanes, goes to a checkout. I follow him, I put my stuff down, and I say hi or something, like, how are you doing? And he's not paying any attention. Then I'm like, hey, how are you doing? And he's like, oh, good. And then brings my stuff up and gets my card, and I get my card ready. And something weird with the credit card machine goes on, that they have those prompts, and I was trying to pay my card, and I'm like, why isn't it taking? And then this prompt came up like forcing me to do a survey. I'm like, I'm just feeling really weird right now. What's going on? And then I look up, and the guy's waiting for me to pay, by the way. And I look up, and I'm just lost in staring at the self-checkout signs. All the registers said self-checkout, right? None of them say that anymore. They all say checkout. It disappeared. They all said checkout. When that guy showed up, they all changed and went to checkout. And I was like, I'm just standing there like, I just debated for 3 minutes. I know I saw all of them said, every single register, self checkout. And the energy was weird and everything. And this is an area of Philadelphia I drove through that there's cameras everywhere. It almost feels surveillance-y. You can feel that energy. It's like they're just visibly, they're all over the traffic and all that. And I'm like, what's going on? And when I left, I'm like, I think I just saw the future of that store. I think that was a time bleed, because I've experienced them before. I've seen time bleeds before. I've experienced people and beings and other things disappearing and reappearing because of time bleeds and all of that. And I was like, I think I shifted into the future for a moment, and I was standing there when they have self-checkout, because those are coming. The retail employees are going away, where it's all self-checkout. There's just a guy wandering the store like security, and that's it. And then I shifted back when the lady started talking to the retail guy, and that's when it shifted and changed. I'm sitting there, I'm just like, I walk out, I'm going, did that just happen? This is like a thing with me with these experiences. If you heard the Chipotle thing earlier, like, I'm sitting there, I'm just like, what the heck just happened? I think I saw the future of that store, but like 5-10 years from now, where it's all self-checkout and you're supposed to do it yourself. I've seen so many of those on this trip, places I would never expect to have full automation of those things where I walk in. I mean, I went to Michael's the other day, and I'm always going to Michael's, and it's all retail. It was all self-checkout except for one station. And I'm going, wow, this is taken over in the cities. In the country, not so much. The cities, it is here, and it is all over the place. So I don't know, that was a cool little thing that happened that I wanted to share, and just an awareness of the future. Like, that is part of the future, is shifting to all that kind of automation type of stuff. So love you all, grateful for all of you.